are the Psalms.
Revelations. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark into his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Satan cast into the lake of fire. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. The great white throne. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were open, and another book was open, which was in the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every man according to their works, in death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. But I will tell you what will happen to cowards and to everyone who is unfaithful or dirty-minded or who murders or is sexually immoral or uses witchcraft or worships idols or tell lies. They will be thrown into that lake of fire and burning sulfur. This is the second death.
Your haters, not your haters, they're your fruit testers. Your haters, not your haters, they're your fruit testers. Hey, who I said your haters, not your haters, they're your fruit testers. Multitude like the haters, not your haters.
Beats by all the Psalms.
Yeah. Truth colors, truth colors, truth colors. Truth colors, truth colors, truth colors. Ayy, when you learn the truth, it will set you free. Many are held captive, stolen identity. But let me just shoot the breeze, release you from Satan's squeeze. He's all like enemies, no matter the color you see. That truth frame. Truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors. Yeah.
Beats by other songs.
Truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors. Hey, when you learn the truth, it will set you free. Many are held captive, stolen identity. But let me just shoot the breeze, release you from Satan's squeeze. He's all like enemies, no matter the color you see. That truth frame. Truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, truth colors, yeah, truth colors.
He is the shadow of Saint Nicholas.
Who told you it was okay for you to keep Christmas? Who told you it was okay for you to keep the holidays? Who told you it was okay for you not to keep the Sabbath day holy? Who told you it was okay for you to participate in mind control, in witchcraft, in the duality of the same sin that Adam and Eve fell, which is eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Who told you to partake of that tree? My name is Yeshayahu. We got a lot ahead of us. And I'm going to show you that's exactly what you are doing. But I want you to ask yourself, who told you it was okay for you to do any of these things? Who told you not to keep the law that's outlined in the Bible? Who told you that it's okay for you to keep and preach and teach an apostate gospel? Or should I say, a God spell?
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Koi's Corner. Now, many people around the world celebrate Christmas, and in America virtually everyone does. And as far as we mainly know and have been told, Christmas means Christ's Mass and is a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. But what if that isn't where Christmas began? What if there's a dark and ominous past to Christmas we were never told about? And what if these covered up facts include pagan rituals, human sacrifices, and more dark twists than we would ever learn from the people who've told us about Christmas today? Let's find out. Now, although many of us are taught that Christmas simply sprang out of existence with the birth of Christ, this is wrong. There were many festive celebrations around the Christmas holidays that went on for thousands of years before this was even integrated, and it was known as something called Saturnalia. And Saturnalia was essentially an ancient holiday celebrated by the Romans that went on from December 17th, usually until December 23rd, and sometimes extended to the 25th. And the reason Saturnalia is so interesting is because it has a dark past that has been not only forgotten, but but hidden from the masses when referring to Christmas for quite some time. And the roots of Saturnalia take place with the Roman god Saturn. This is where Saturnalia was based and founded. And in ancient Roman mythology, Saturn was a god. Saturn represented wealth, freedom, and our control of time or understanding of how it works. And Saturn was such an influential god in these times that we ended up actually naming a planet after this Roman god, obviously the planet Saturn. This is how important this god figure was in not only the roles of what we name certain scientific structures, but traditions that we took part in for thousands of years. And along these lines of founding Saturnalia, we have to take in religion, because religion was part of the state, was part of the government during Roman times, and the majority of Romans in these times were pagans. And this is how Roman mythology got so big. Pagans believe in polytheism, which is the belief of many, many gods that exist simultaneously. And they worship these gods, as well as held a very high respect for not only nature itself, but animals, plants, people. They really did view the universe and the world in an interconnected way. This led into the spiritual realm, where they also attributed these kind of factors of everything being interconnected to reincarnation, in a sense, to the practice of magics, of alchemy. And this combination of life, death, the world being connected, magic, turned this festival into a dark piece of history as we know it, because the truth then is nowhere near the truth now. Now, when these festivals began, the Romans would choose something known as the Lord of Misrule. This was a Roman citizen, and this person was chosen to represent the enemies of these Romans. And what they did to this Lord of Misrule is honestly hard to believe even today. Over the coming week during these celebrations, they would make this Lord of Misrule take part in what was going on with these festivities. They would feed them well, indulge them in foods, give them physical wants such as women, the people they wanted, different things that would indulge any human being. And then once this was done, at the end of the festival, these people were slaughtered. They were murdered as a tribute to the god Saturn. And this killing was done because it was believed in these times to expel the evil forces that surrounded the people of Rome. This is what culminated the whole festival, the slaughter of this innocent person. And the scary thing about Saturnalia and its foundings are just like the things we see today. It is not only a religious festival, but it was a state festival as well, much as we see Veterans Day. It is something that is enacted by the government at the time. And this holiday wasn't a clean PG version of what we know as Christmas today. It was definitely R-rated. There was drunkenness all wild, people doing whatever drugs they could. They were pillaging the village, could not face charges for the entire days of the festival, had intercourse out of marriage. Many things went on at these times that weren't allowed during the regular year. This was essentially a time to let go, a Mardi Gras of the ancient world. Any desires that you had throughout the year that you could not take part in were available for you to do during this festive time in December. And this holiday, while popular, would have most likely died out over time, but was instead incorporated into a new and rising religion at the time, known as Roman Catholicism. And this is what kind of started the translation of every understanding that we know through history of Saturnalia into what is now Christmas. This ranges from Christmas trees, which were of pagan origin. They always worshiped the forest, trees within the forest. They would bring them into their home, do sacred rituals around them, and worship them all the time, which slowly translated into a simple tree in the home that we all have during Christmas. A tradition which itself is not too bad until you refer it to another Christmas tradition, such as the mistletoe, which essentially represented a druid ritual where they would poison spears with mistletoes and sacrifice victims underneath a mistletoe. And slowly over generations was transformed into a more PG version of this, which nowadays we know as kissing under the mistletoe, something much nicer than a sacred ritual of sacrificing a human being. But again, we're not told this. We are hidden from this history because it is just too dark for us to understand or to know about. And if you're like me, you might be asking, why would the Roman Catholic Church do this? Why would any major religion incorporate such a crazy mess of a holiday into their dogma, into what they do on a yearly basis? And this is where the birth of Jesus Christ comes in. And this was done to convert religion, to convert pagans to Catholics. The Roman Catholic Church promised that if these pagans would convert to Roman Catholicism, that they could still effectively practice these rituals, these sacred things under the Roman Catholic law, and they would not be prosecuted, they would not go to hell, they would be all right. This was the basis for kind of turning Saturnalia into Christmas, and it was also done to implement the birth of Jesus Christ. There was no specific holiday at the time celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, and due to Saturnalia ranging from the 17th and ending so close to the 25th, which was at the time the predicted date of when Jesus Christ was born, they decided this festival, for being so popular, so rambunctious, and so active among these people, should be the one they choose to celebrate his birth. They could incorporate it into one. And this again is where over the generations the celebrating of lewdness, craziness, drunkenness slowly transformed from importance of that Roman god Saturn into the birth of Jesus Christ. The birth of Jesus became the staple point of this holiday instead of this old Roman god. And over time, laws were implemented, regulations were passed, and they toned down Saturnalia, now known more widespread as Christmas, to a kinder, more acceptable holiday for not only adults but children as well. Less drinking, less going out, more family time, more presents, more reveling in the birth of Jesus Christ than the god of Saturn, than sacrificing things, than pillaging and breaking laws. It was transformed into something much nicer, much like we see with almost any advanced society taking over something that was once owned by savages. And as this continued, as this celebration of his birth kept on going, Saturnalia was in essence forgotten to the mainstream public, which it mainly is now. It is really something you only know about if you were specifically researching Christmas in depth. Other than that, you're not really ever going to learn about Saturnalia, about the Roman pagans that worship these polytheistic gods in Roman mythology. It's just something so negative, so barbaric. We try to ignore it, try to hide it, try to push it away. But it is the foundings for Christmas, and we can't ignore it. We must understand both sides. Again, even if you're not religious, it's still great to see just how much we kind of evolved through time on a mental scale to take such a crazy holiday and make it a family organized event based on community and love, regardless of the gods or spiritual figureheads involved. This is celebratory domestication at its finest and most effective, due to Christmas arguably being the most well-known holiday not only in America but in the world. And those are the ancient origins of the Christmas history in a nutshell, from Saturnalia to Christmas as we know it now.
All right. I'm not really sure how to say this name, but it's a Camaro. All right. Now, why am I showing this? Because it's literally the same hat that Santa Claus wears. Let's take a look, shall we? All right. A Camaro, from the Latin, whatever, camelicum, and from the Greek, whatever, meaning camel skin, right? It's a camel skin hat. It's a cap traditionally worn by the Pope of the Catholic Church, right? It's funny, right? When you look at Santa Claus or Saint Nick, like, all right, the picture I'm going to show you after this, like the video I'm going to show you after this, you'll see what I'm talking about. So most people are like, nuh-uh. You'll see in the later video that I'm going to post, like right after this video, another video's going to come on and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so look at this. We got Pope Benedict sporting a rare appearance of a Camaro, December 2005. So see. All right, now watch this. Papal Camaros are made from red wool or velvet with white ermine. Look at that. So the stout, also known as a short-tailed weasel or simply the weasel. It's an abomination to us, right? In Ireland, where the least weasel does not occur, is a mammal of the genus Mustela of the family Mustelidae, native to Eurasia and North America, distinguished from the least weasel by its larger size. And I'm not going to read the rest. We just got a different. So if you want to see what that is, you can always click on that, or see where I'm at and then go to it to find out a little bit more about the weasel. We're here about Santa in his hat that looks like the papal. Okay, let's go. All right, with white ermine trim, and also usually worn during the winter in place of the zuccato. Obviously you know what that is, that little skull cap. All right, let's go. Like the beretta. See all these different. Worn by the lower clergy and the mortarboard. Wow, did we just uncover something? Like the beretta, worn by the lower clergy and the mortarboard. This is the cap and gown. I did not expect to uncover this, but things have its little surprises, and I'm happy about that. Really, McAfee? Really? Wow. And I guess I accidentally clicked on it, and it now shows you for real it is what it is, the Square Academic cap. Everything is by Rome. Everything. Even down to when you get your degree. You're wearing a cap and gown. Look at this right here. Wow. Alright, that's interesting though. It's very interesting. So, the motherboard worn by academics. The camera derives from the academic cap, the Felis. Originally worn to protect
a lot. Most people do not begin to realize the extent of worship of sun gods, even by the children of God in the very nation of Israel. It was full of Baal worship. That's why God sent them into captivity. The sun god
Beats by other songs.
Truth colors.